comment, hit the like button. Mexico has erupted in violence. They killed El Mancho, the cartel leader, and now some Americans were told to get the hell out of Mexico. hmm Some Americans was unalive. Let's see if we get some people. Wow. Wow. Mm. And we can get some people in the room. I'm gonna wait a few minutes. Mm. All right. Breaking news. They done killed the major cartel person in Mexico, and Americans have been unalived. Mayhem rocks Mexico after most wanted cartel boss is killed. El Micho is his name. Was a longtime head of one of the nation's most powerful cartels. Armed groups set fire to cars and buildings across Mexico in the wake of his death. The Mexican government said it killed the nation's most wanted cartel boss on Sunday, setting off a wave of fires, violence across the country as cartel operatives sought to exact revenge in an unsettling uh, show of force. Nesmiso Cervantes, known as El Micho, was a longtime leader of one of Mexico's most powerful cartel. They done even unalive some Americans, y'all. We going to war. Watch. The Jalisco New Generation cartel and was widely regarded as one of the country's most violent criminal figures. He presided over a criminal enterprise that has expanded rapidly over the past decade, producing and selling drugs, extorting local businesses, terrorizing communities across the country. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. Mr. Arcego's killing plunged Mexico into a highly tense moment that could unleash a surge of violence. Past captures of cartel, they already have unalived some Americans over there, and that means Trump ain't gonna play that. So we going to war. We definitely gonna be over there bombing. Look at this. This was happening right now. You want me to stop, but I look like an old lady. Fuck you. You ain't got to be here. Hey, Shannon. Fuck you. So he died following a Mexican military operation today, handing the country a consequential victory as it looks to show tangible results to the Trump administration. He was a former police officer and he had the Jalisco New Generation cartel. which is one of the most powerful and ruthless criminal organizations inside Mexico, according to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. Violence erupted in several states in Mexico after security forces from multiple federal branches of Mexico's military carried out the operation in the town of Tapula in the western state of Jalisco. Officials said suspected members of organized crime unleashed a wave of violence following the operation, torching buses, businesses, while clashing with security forces. The U.S. Department urged American nationals in parts of Mexico to seek shelter and remain in residences or hotels. Mexico's Secretary of National Defense said U.S. authorities provided complimentary information that supported the operation. A U.S. defense official confirmed that the interagency U.S. task force played a role in the operation. It's going down, and they done hurt Americans. Panicked passengers run for their lives at Guadalajara Airport as Mexican cartel violence erupts over. Day is not playing. U.S. issues shelter-in-place alert right now. Bitch, I'm not just reading. I'm just giving you the headline news of what's going on. You ain't got to be here, JW. Fuck you, too. Man, it's President Sheinbaum. She urges calm after cartel boss death triggers unrest in Mexico. It's really bad over there right now. Oh, shit. That ain't what I want. Oh, yeah. And here we go.
De Allende, a region in Jalisco that had long been associated with El Mencho. Jalisco Governor Pablo Lemus Navarro confirmed on social media that the federal operation resulted in armed confrontations, and that individuals subsequently burned and blocked vehicles across the region in what he described as an effort to obstruct authorities. The governor activated a statewide Code Red and convened an emergency security committee across all three levels of government: federal, state, and municipal. In Puerto Vallarta, more than vehicles have been set on fire at various points across the city. Public transportation has suspended operations throughout the state. Hotels are advising guests to remain indoors, and some businesses have temporarily closed. In Guadalajara, roadblocks have been reported throughout the city, with residents receiving warnings through neighborhood messaging groups to avoid non-essential.
You is so dumb, JW. This is what just happened in Mexico today. Didn't you read the fucking title, or can you read? Americans have been unalived in Mexico due to them killing a cartel member. Read the fucking headline. And yes, I am pro-ICE. Yes, I support fucking ICE. Yes, I do. Bitch.
Travel. Michoacan Governor Alfredo Bedolla separately reported that 13 municipalities in his state are experiencing similar unrest. Roadblocks and vehicle burnings have been confirmed across 6 states in total: Jalisco, Michoacan, Colima, Tamaulipas, Guanajuato, and Aguascalientes. El Mencho was born on July 17, 1966, in Naranjo de Chila, in the municipality of Aguililla, Michoacan.
That's not the only problem. You have Americans that live in Mexico, do business in Mexico, and some of, yes, I do like Trump, bitch. You can get the fuck out. Yes, I love Trump, bitch. Sure do, and support ICE. Immigrants need to get the fuck out. The illegals need to go. That too, ho.
School in the 6th grade. As a teenager, he migrated to the United States, where he was arrested for drug dealing. In 1992, he and his older brother Abraham were convicted of selling heroin to undercover officers, sentenced to federal prison, and later deported to Mexico. After his deportation, he worked as a local police officer in Tomatlan, Jalisco, before entering the criminal underworld, eventually joining the Milenio Cartel, an organization allied with the Sinaloa Cartel under Ignacio Nacho Coronel. Following Coronel's death in 2010 and the collapse of the Milenio
So that's the cartel leader that was killed today.
Major events are unfolding in the Jalisco state of Mexico right now.
Let me read this.
And it's pretty wild. So we're going to look at some of the social media videos that are circulating. So here's what we know so far. The cartel's leader, El Mencho, was reportedly killed in Jalisco during a military operation. Now, some reporting is coming out. This is a joint U.S.-Mexican Special Forces operation. However, that is not confirmed yet. His reported elimination triggered the cartel retaliation across the entire Jalisco state. The cartel...
Bitch, I don't watch CNN. That's fake news. I watch all news, but not CNN, not ABC, not NBC, not none of that bullshit. I watch Indian news, Russian news, Arabic news. Thoughts on reparations? Yeah, I think we should get reparations. Yeah, I do. And Trump would be the one to give it to you, dumb fuck. Nobody else would. He the only one that recognized the hard worker African Americans of any president.
Members are killing people, setting vehicles, buses, and structures on fire in multiple cities, including Puerto Vallarta and in Guadalajara. Armed gunmen have been attacking areas around the Guadalajara International Airport, which has caused, obviously, major panic and disruption. There are road blockages and coordinated criminal activities spread across the region. Air Canada has temporarily suspended flights to and from Puerto Vallarta, and the U.S. Embassy has issued a security alert urging Americans to shelter in place. There's also been a NOTAM, that's a notice to airmen, which is for pilots, restricting flights within a 10 nautical mile radius up to 22,000 feet until the 23rd of February. So there's a lot going on, and again, this is developing, but I'd like to jump into X here and just look at some of the videos and some of the footages we're seeing come out thus far. So first, this is a UH-60 Blackhawk. This is coming off the open source intel page over on X, which has a lot of good content there for those who are interested in this type of stuff. We'll just watch the first part here. That sound. That is the minigun being utilized. Which is just wild when you think about the environment this is in. Long time ago, while I was waiting to go to pilot training, I was in a helicopter squadron and was fortunate enough to be able to shoot.
Damn.
And the 50. That is wild to see.
Look at the...
And now I'm just going to kind of go through open source intel the page here, just so you can see some of the things that are transpiring. So there have been multiple reports of the cartels obviously targeting National Guardsmen, policemen, and this one appears to be a video of a National Guard vehicle that was ambushed by these cartel members. Again, here we are setting fire to banks, which... Again, no one is stopping, no one's responding. You can clearly see that security forces are overwhelmed here. Yeah, just, I mean, again, imagine in that environment, you know, if that happened anywhere else, obviously police, they're going to be rolling up there, but they clearly are overwhelmed. And this is a wild video here. Just listen to the firefight. Some big guns.
And this is the cartel. This happening right now. Damn.
Here's the thing. I don't want to be the cameraman in this. I think I probably would have...
This is Mexico and you still in my live.
Back and forth. And, I mean, maybe only 100 meters from at least one of the lines there. So not where I want to be. We also have heightened military activity on the highways. That's no surprise coming with this. There's patients at the hospital fleeing and padding. I mean, it appears everything from hospitals, banks, airport have all been overrun. I'll try to find the airport video here next. But obviously the cartel is going after everyone and anyone. Yeah, look at this. This is just, I mean, pure chaos here, right? With a cartel member rolling up, guns pulled just to try and set this gas station ablaze. Look at this.
Damn.
How wild is that?
Damn, they set it right on fire. Damn, they cutting a fool over in Mexico.
What appears to be the attack. There's fire all around.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for
this
watching.
Is paralegal. I really like him. I really like him.
You know that it helps us out a ton. And, of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Mexico, out of an area in Mexico called Jalisco. It looks like they have killed a high-ranking cartel member, a boss, y'all. And things have they've gone from 0 to 100 real quick, y'all. Apparently, even the airport is under attack by the cartel as revenge for the boss's killing, y'all. They say that Americans are being attacked. People are having their cars taken and burned. Buildings are burned.
That's the cartel boss they just killed today.
So this update is a bit of a travel advisory if you're in Mexico. So hopefully you can get and stay safe. And also all of the content we use here is under fair use. Without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead.
JW, you ignorant as fuck. Kentrell Williams, your girlfriend. Bitch, he's married, hoe. I don't mess with me. You dumb ass. Let me block your bitch ass. Get the fuck out of here, you dumb fuck. Get you the fuck up out of here. You shut the fuck up.
And get into it.
So everybody is being told to leave the area right now here on the beach. The tiki bar is being cleared out. All of these things are being cleared out. It's being roped off right now. They're asking that everybody vacate the area and leave immediately. You can see the smoke. I don't know if you can, the smoke in the sky. But we were just walking on the beach and we saw smoke everywhere. And we're being informed that there's major cartel violence happening right now all over Puerto Vallarta.
Okay, so you another stupid motherfucker, Mr. Hunk, that came in here. This is just happened today. This is what's happening in Mexico because they've killed a cartel leader and some Americans have been hurt. You dumb fuck. Let me time your bitch ass out. The fuck is wrong with y'all?
Apparently, they've captured a top-ranking cartel member, and when that happens, all-out war happens. A number of cars have been set on fire, motorcycles set on fire. In fact, there were some attendees of Anarchapulco who were in a taxi cab. Taxi drivers are apparently targeted by the cartel. They were they had their car shot at. The taxi driver was murdered, and the car was set on fire. All of their luggage has been burnt, including their clothes and passports, in fact.
Now, y'all, all of the videos that I'm showing you here are sourced from X, and this is the most recent information that I have. So definitely double check and verify. We're going to take a look at a very brief clip, supposedly now out of the local airport where things have gone from bad to worse and very quick, y'all. Again, if you're in the area, please stay safe. Other footage seems to show people snatching people out of their vehicles and then leaving them stranded as the, I guess, cartel members, y'all, set the vehicles on fire. This is definitely wild stuff. Let's take a look.
So I want to get to the part that some Americans.
Truth.ca. There's a YouTube channel. We will link to this video down in the description. It looks like he's there right now, y'all. It looks like he's in the area, I think Puerto Vallarta in Mexico. President Sheinbaum is hailing the Mexican army after the gallant soldiers stormed a CJNG's hideout near Guadalajara.
Damn.
That operation ended in the capture of some of El Mencho's most trusted hitmen, with loads of drugs and weapons seized. But the onslaught didn't end.
So this started 2 weeks ago when they raided Guadalajara and got his men, but they killed El Mencho today.
There, another dramatic mission led to the capture of another notorious CJNG assassin responsible for the recent murder of Bernardo Bravo, the leader of the Citrus Growers Association in the Apatzingan Valley. But while Sheinbaum was still celebrating the wins, the cartel struck back with a brutal car bomb detonated right in front of a local police station. So now, the question is, how far will these criminals go in this terror campaign of retaliation? And if the military responds with more violence, what could happen next?
Al final de cuentas, todos somos malos.
We are all bad guys. That's the reality. Why? Because at the end of the day, the work is the same. We kill like all the others.
So, according to federal officials, this operation was the result of prolonged military intelligence work that tracked movement patterns, communications, and the use of specific properties tied to a criminal cell linked to the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Based on that intelligence, authorities identified a residence in the Las Cañadas subdivision of Zapopan, Jalisco, as an operational base used by the group. With the location confirmed, they began coordinated ground and aerial surveillance, which enabled them to gather.
I'll be right back. I gotta get my
secure a
cigarette.
judicial search warrant. That's when members of the Mexican army, working alongside local police, stormed the property and smashed down the front door with a battering ram. By the end of the operation, they detained 3 individuals, all of whom were identified as members of a criminal structure operating under the CJNG. But the main target was Jose Gabriel, known as Uber. According to the Secretariat of Security and Citizen Protection, he was identified as the leader of a criminal cell operating in Zapopan and across the Guadalajara metropolitan area. These guys have been involved in everything from trafficking, extortion, kidnappings, murders, and arms trafficking. Along with Jose Gabriel, Mauricio Cruz, and Carlos Alberto were also arrested. Investigators believe both men played active roles within the same criminal cell, supporting its operations and logistics. During the search of the residence, authorities seized a rifle, 2 handguns, magazines, ammunition, and approximately 500 doses of methamphetamine.
Damn.
In addition to the weapons and drugs, they also seized 5 vehicles, multiple cell phones, and other communication equipment they had been using to coordinate crimes. That's why Sheinbaum is celebrating this operation as a significant blow against the CJNG. But this was just one part of a broader offensive against criminal structures linked to the CJNG. The target of this next operation was Cesar Sepulveda Arellano, better known as El Botox, a criminal leader who authorities say had been operating for years in Michoacan with direct ties to CJNG-aligned networks. El Botox was the leader of a group known as Los Blancos de Troya, a criminal cell involved in extortion, contract killings, and territorial control in agricultural regions. He had been wanted by Mexican authorities and even the United States for years, but the pressure to capture him intensified after the brutal murder of Bernardo Bravo, the leader of the Citrus Growers Association in the Apatzingan Valley.
Fear and uncertainty, lemon growers returned to work at the Apatzingan market 2 days after the murder of their leader, Bernardo Bravo. Surveillance was reinforced at the entrance and exit of the building due to the presence of deputies, officials, and the governor. There were operations by land and air.
Bravo had been outspoken about cartel extortion targeting lemon growers, and because of that, he became a direct target. So, on October 19th, Bravo was lured into what he believed was a meeting for peace talks with some unidentified cartel leaders, not realizing it was an ambush. But his mistake was ditching his security details and traveling alone to a location south of Apatzingan. Hours later, his body was found inside his truck with a gunshot wound. The investigation that followed retraced Bravo's movements, which led investigators straight to a ranch owned by El Botox, where they found tire tracks from Bravo's truck and his blood. From that point on, investigators launched a full-scale manhunt for El Botox, but by then, the criminal had already vanished. So investigators went after the people closest to him. The first to fall was Rigoberto Lopez Mendoza, known as El Pantano, who was captured just one day after the murder. Then, less than 24 hours later, they arrested El Botox's wife, simply known as Blanca N. By this point, El Botox knew investigators were closing in on him, but instead of still lying low, he did some that'd finally seal his fate. While on the run, El Botox began recording videos deep inside the forest and posting on social media. In the videos, he denied responsibility for Bravo's murder and accused Bravo's brother of having a hand in his death.
In the almost 5-minute recording, this man accuses Jaime Bravo, Luminero's brother, of collaborating with criminal groups. That's why he asked the authorities, and this is how things are to investigate the Bravo family.
Not just the family, he accused the authorities of corruption and demanded the release of his wife and daughter, who had been arrested days earlier. He directly addressed President Scheinbaum and the Secretary of Security and Civilian Protection, saying,
Then after all that, they done killed the dirty lawyer. They done killed the lawyer.
Matamoros. Los hechos ocurrieron el día de hoy, 2 de febrero, cuando un hombre que se encontraba dentro de su camioneta.
Oh, shoot. I'm live. Call Shakira, please. I'm live. They gave the lawyer 5 gunshot wounds.
On February 6, 2026, Fernando Covarrubias Trevino, a 51-year-old criminal defense lawyer working for one of Mexico's most powerful cartel leaders, was brutally executed behind the wheel of his vehicle right outside his home. Covarrubias represented Alfredo Cardenas Martinez, known as El Contador, a key figure in the Gulf Cartel.
Yo escuché como unos 7 balazos. Vi cruzar a la señora, la mamá del licenciado. Salió corriendo, gritando, ¿qué le pasa a mi hijo? Ya me acerqué y pues ya.
The hit was reportedly carried out by a sicario who was paid approximately $7,000. The execution has been linked to El Botox's network, a Michoacan-based extortionist who was arrested just weeks earlier. Now, whispers of brutal retaliation are spreading across the border region as the Gulf Cartel prepares for war.
¡Míralos! ¡Los maté a la verga! ¡Mire! ¡Ay, güey! ¡Se murieron a la verga todos!
Persecuciones. Afortunadamente no hubo muertos ni heridos.
So this is how it all started. But let's get to the Americans hurt. Let me, because I had that. Mexico announced it's killing a drug cartel keeping El Macho 45 minutes ago. This is 2 hours ago.
Mike, what's happening in Mexico right now?
Well, this morning, the Mexican army located Nemesio Ceguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco Generation Cartel, in the municipality of Talpa de Allende. This is where he spends a lot of time and where he hides. So this was one of the most significant actions undertaken in the history of drug trafficking, because we're talking about someone that is almost at the same level as Chapo Guzman and El Mayo Zambada. He's one of the biggest drug capos in the history of drug trafficking around the globe. And his cartel operated very much like a paramilitary force. And they operated in about 6 of the 7 continents around the world.
Damn.
Were they involved in cocaine, heroin trafficking, but they were also major players in the traffic of synthetic drugs, such as fentanyl, methamphetamine. They imported precursor chemicals not only from China, but also from India through the port of Lázaro Cárdenas in Michoacán. But they also diversified their criminal activities to include the penetration of the avocado industry, the lemon lime industry, the theft of lumber, penetration of the fishing industry, and then they were also involved in the theft of petroleum from Pemex pipelines.
Mike, can you explain to me clearly? This was a Mexican-led operation, but what role did U.S. intelligence have in an operation, or what role does U.S. intelligence have typically in an operation such as this?
Sometimes they provide information. Excuse me. Sometimes we have law enforcement agencies that operate in Mexico, such as DEA, FBI, and others. And in Mexico, we have a huge apparatus of informants that we've been able to cultivate through decades. And sometimes they provide information. That information.
And America did provide. America did provide the intelligence.
In this case, I think that the vast majority of the intelligence.
Oh, this breaking right now. Oh shit.
Yeah, there's like 2 feeds, maybe.
This is ice. Let me see where he going.
Because they're just replaying that over. Homes and hotels tonight. Residents of Guadalajara received a chilling warning. Be off the streets by 2 p.m. or face violence. The 5 p.m. deadline has passed. I don't know why they say that, though. Because it's not 5 yet. It's about to be 5 over there. Nobody knows if they'll follow through, but the street's already answering. 21 blockades still burning. Jalisco, Michoacán, we say it all the places. Cancun, blockades and shootouts erupting in Mexico's most visited tourist destination.
Damn.
Families trapped in resorts. Tijuana, border city flaring hard. Carjackings and blockades, active blocks from the U.S. border. Puerto Vallarta, Costco engulfed in flames. Every exit road blocked. Tourists physically cannot leave. Air Canada pulled out entirely. Guadalajara Airport, passengers still stranded, flights suspended, indefinitely. Videos of tarmac chaos still flooding social media. Schools closed Monday, which is something that blew me away, that they even had to announce this shit in the middle of a war. By the way, schools closed Monday. Oh, the kids are like, yes. Entire statewide shutdown. Public events canceled immediately. National Guard engaged in active shootouts across multiple states simultaneously.
Mexico is in turmoil.
Guards killed, escapes reported. U.S. Embassy still active. Shelter in place across all these places we just mentioned. Canada has issued identical warnings. Both countries pulling flights. Families locked into homes. Tourists trapped in hotels waiting to see if CJNJ follows through on their threat. Kids home from school tomorrow. An entire country holding its breath tonight. A cartel threatening to kick down your door isn't power. It's a cornered empire screaming.
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. I like that.
The most dangerous moment for any cartel is right after it loses its head. And CJNJG just proved why.
Cartels are now saying major threats to forcibly enter homes and hotels at 5 p.m. if their demands are not met, prompting heightened security concerns. What's interesting is this is all going on in Mexico, but if you watch what's going on in Iran, that's escalating too, which at the end of the day, they're going to have to keep eyes on both areas because there's a lot of Americans down here.
Right.
This is the map in all the incidents so far. I'm telling you, it's almost the whole country of Mexico that's being bombarded with these fires at this moment. They're lighting buses on fire, See how I tell you they're doing blockades so people can't get in and out? It's just getting way worse. I'll keep you posted with the latest.
Hey, that's Jake. I like his post. Let's see what else is going on out there. Somebody from Mexico, call in. Tell me. I want you to tell me in English. Tell me what's going on over there. Give me the updates.
Just leaving a conference. They're actually still doing this conference. The Dollar Vigilante Summit, the TDV Summit, is still going on right now. And I'm seeing reports of people who are being forced out of their hotels. They're looking out their window from their balconies over there, and they're seeing the same things I'm seeing from here. Cars on fire, motorcycles on fire, convenience stores being blown up. So as I understand it, this is happening all over Mexico. It's like countrywide right now. I'm, of course, in Puerto Vallarta. But yeah, I think there's a good chance this is not just going to be kind of a one-off event for this particular day. I think this certainly could continue to escalate over the next coming days, maybe even week, as the military now has promised to get involved. And where is that going to go from here? Only time will tell. But I'm going to basically just bunker down. As I said earlier, I went outside and it got a little scary for a moment there. So I'm sure my mom would appreciate if I just sit tight right here in this current resort where it seems to be safe for now.
And just to be clear, you're saying the government's talking about cutting the power.
Correct. The government is talking about cutting the power. I can only, assume this is to try to, stifle the efforts of the cartel to do whatever they're going to do. But that's the understanding that I have, just from hearing some of the things on the grounds here. So it's...
Well, where is Bukele when you need him? They have the highest crime rate in the world, now the second lowest in the world, just because they arrested 40,000 people that all have criminal records already. Their tattoos show how many murders they've committed. I mean, these are desperate measures here, but desperate times call for desperate measures. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's...
Well, you can't bring Bukele up in here. He's in El Salvador. That is nowhere near Mexico. The fuck?
Everybody's desperate here, and when you're talking about taking out one of the top drug kingpins in the Mexican cartel, that's like basically a declaration of war. You know what I mean? So, as I said, I don't think this thing's going to slow down anytime soon. These guys mean serious business. They have rocket launchers. I've seen the footage of cartel members who are dressed up looking like the military. That's why you can't really be too sure on who you're dealing with here. So if you're out in the streets, anybody who you see that looks like military, stay the heck away from them, because they could be cartel, and obviously they also could be the target of the cartel. So
what do we know about the latest on hostages in the airport and all the rest of it?
Yeah, I've seen scary footage of people running for their lives in Guadalajara airport. The Puerto Vallarta airport right here in Puerto Vallarta had quite a scare. There was people who were ordered off their airplane, running around on the tarmac or whatever you call it, like outside of the airplanes, trying to get escorted to a bus to safety. So basically, everything is being shut down right now. As I said, it's like a deserted wasteland outside of this particular resort right now. So yeah, scary times. I didn't see this coming. Obviously, I'm supposed to be relaxing today, the final, my one and only day to take some time to spend some time with my wife on the beach. But that quickly got flipped upside down. But let's not worry about me. There's people who have died today. There's families who are missing their loved ones today.
Facts.
And so, we need to pray for everybody that in Puerto Vallarta right now, because as I said, I don't think this is about to slow down. This is just too big right now to just stop, today.
It's massively kinetic. And so the most vicious cartel of this new generation.
If y'all don't know, that's Alex Jones speaking.
Generation playing games, and obviously, the cartels tend to fight with each other. If they got unified, it'd be a big issue. They've got armored personnel carriers, tanks, you name it. They got a lot of that equipment up on the Arizona border, Texas border. And that's why Trump's put the military on the border. Some would say, oh, well, Trump's escalated this by going after the cartels. It shows that Mexico is a failed state to a great extent. When you've got stuff like this going on. And there's been quite a few times that we've sent the U.S. military into Mexico. I'm not trying to endorse that. I'm just saying that is the point that we're really getting at getting to here, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Tear Beer.
Is clearly out of control. So something has to be done when you've got cartel members who have this much power. I mean, they certainly run the show around here, and that if that is just allowed to continue,
Thank you, Jerry.
Just unvetted or whatever, more people are going to die. More, situations are going to like this are going to arise. When they can just have carte blanche power to do whatever they want. So again, this looks like the beginning of something big. This is like a cartel war. This is a showdown with the government and those who want to run the show.
You said it. This is a war, not even a civil war. This is a drug cartels that are acting as the government in many places, controlling many of the members of the Mexican Congress and governors. They say more than half the governors are under cartels' control. And so Trump is right when he says that Mexico is a failed state. The drug cartels have essentially taken it over. And you're seeing an example right here. This is the definition of terrorism: carrying out violence or threatening violence for your political, cultural, economic demands. To scare the public and government into submission. And that's what this is. And I agree with you that, I mean, I would imagine that I think the airport's closed where you are now, right?
Yeah, everything is shut down. They're not letting anybody fly. And in fact, I wanted to just run to the store to grab some things, and they strictly advised me here at the hotel at the concierge, do not go outside. And I got to admit, that's pretty good advice. Like when I went outside earlier, I feared for my life for a good solid 10 seconds there when the military drove by. I was standing right in front of a burning car that was just smoldering. There was another one a few hundred feet back, and I'm sitting there shooting a video on my cell phone as I do, just documenting this stuff. And these guys creep on by. They slow right down. My heart started beating, Alex. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty intense and pretty scary. So everybody is essentially on lockdown right now in Puerto Vallarta. Everybody is advised, do not leave your hotel room, do not leave your home. And maybe that's why the cartel said, we're going to go into homes and we're going to go into hotels at 5:00 p.m. Puerto Vallarta time if their demands aren't met. So even being on lockdown inside of these nice fancy resorts, not that fancy, but it's a nice resort, you're not necessarily safe.
No, you ain't safe. Oh, this is my man Oscar. I love Oscar, so if he live, I'm about to check to see if he live.
Like an X or something. Mexico's most wanted drug lord, El Mencho, killed in a military operation. The most wanted, the top of the top. Mencho. The Sinaloa told us what they think about President Trump. There was a CNN thing. It's 9 months ago, but what did the Sinaloa think? Oh, he's a nice guy.
That motorbike. Now this guy is losing a lot of blood. So Mexico, the heartland to U.S. consumers, to crack down in cartel members.
Está fea la situación.
Flying over the state of Sinaloa. Like this produce
2 kilos.
Can be 6 months of Sheinbaum's presidency, thousands of suspected cartel members have been arrested, and more than 140 tons of drugs have been seized.
140
But the reality is, more than 1,200 people have also been killed in Sinaloa in the past year. Hundreds, extremely high area of the city that is. The Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea la situación, pero pues todos tenemos que comer.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
Respeto, él tiene que...
Respect? What the hell? What?
Según él, buscar lo mejor.
Yo, I wasn't expecting that. Respect, he's looking out for his people. What the?
Para los suyos. Pero el detalle que ya están los consumidores.
The consumers, these are the problems of consumers. All y'all getting high and shit. I feel watching this high on something.
Si no hubiera consumidores, pues uno le paraba.
There is a lot of violence playing out on these streets here at the moment every day, right? I mean, people are dying on a daily basis. Children are afraid to go to school. Do you have any...
That was wild. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Let me see what else are we getting with this I want live updates. Let me check. Dead.
Hold on, I need to get to Oscar.
This is good for the Mexican public. This is good for the Mexican people to see that actually something that is being done as to eradicating a person at this stature and this level. It is something that is particularly so important for the Mexican people, but also it tells you the level of importance that the American government has been having on pushing the Mexican government to do something. This do also, and it is not a lie, of the level of extraction of information that they have over dirty politicians from the political party of Morena. Don't mean to get, political, or I don't mean to get, siding by one particular side of another, just going on factual information that this is factual information. They have a lot of dirt on these dirty politicians in Mexico.
Really? Mexico is really corrupt. I mean, real quick to the Nancy Guthrie the other day too, when those ladies came by and it turned a little bit political and stuff. The chat was freaking.
Let me see. Oh, this is the hot zone. Oh, I like him.
Welcome to the hot zone. I'm Chuck Holton, and I'm sitting in the airport right now in Orlando, about to get on a plane headed east over to Armenia to cover what's happening or about to happen in the conflict with Iran. So I'll have a lot more on that soon, but today's going to be a shorter video because some massive news just broke, and I wanted to get this out to you while it's still hot. The most wanted drug lord in the Western Hemisphere is dead. His name was Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes. His street name is El Mencho. And if you've never heard of him, that's kind of the point. This guy ran the biggest, most violent drug cartel in Mexico, the Jalisco New Generation cartel. And he did it as a ghost. No public appearances, no flashy social media like El Chapo had. Just a quiet, ruthless empire that pumped more fentanyl and meth into the United States than any other organization on the planet. Now, I'm going to break all this down for you, how they got him, what's happening on the ground right now, and what it means for you and for America. Today, Mexican Special Forces killed Mencho in a raid on his hideout in Tapalpa, Jalisco, a little mountain town about 80 miles southwest of Guadalajara. There was a shootout. Mencho and his guys, and several of them got hit. They loaded him up on a chopper and then headed for Mexico City, and he apparently died en route, and that's all we know right now. Now, game over for the guy the U.S. government had a $15 million bounty on. Now, here's the part nobody in Washington is going to want to talk about, what happened next. So within hours, and I mean hours, cartel foot soldiers lit Jalisco on fire. They burning vehicles on the highways, road blockades across at least 6 states, gunfights with security forces in the streets. Puerto Vallarta, that tourist town where, your aunt goes to drink margaritas in January, is on full lockdown. Burning buses, armed guys in the streets, tourists sheltering at resorts because nobody can get to the airport. Guadalajara's airport suspended flights. Smoke plumes, I think, are visible from space. And this is what the cartels call calentando la plaza. That's heating up the town or burning down the town. It's not random chaos. It's a calculated response to what just happened. So they just burn everything, overwhelm the cops, show the government and every rival cartel that even with the boss dead, we can still shut down an entire region of Mexico in an afternoon.
Wow.
So it's a show of force.
Y'all, this is happening now.
It's working pretty well. As of right now, there are no confirmed civilian casualties. That's good news, but that will probably change. The Mexican military has been ramming blockades with armored vehicles and pushing back hard, but the situation is far from over. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. How did they get him? The Mexicans pulled the trigger. We know that. But Mexican special forces ran the operation. Mexican boots were the ones on the ground. Mexican bullets. But you know what? Uncle Sam was whispering in their ear the whole time.
Facts.
The
Facts.
Joint Interagency Task Force,
Yes.
which is called JIATF-CC, which stands for cartel or counter cartel, is operating under U.S. Northern Command, and it provided what officials are carefully calling complementary information. Well, that's Pentagon speak for we told them exactly where Mencho was, probably watched the whole thing on a drone feed and helped plan the hit. $15 million on his head, that kind of money, tends to loosen lips, right?
Sure does.
So combine that with signals intelligence and satellite surveillance, informant networks, and you've got what the military calls a kill chain. And let me break that down for you because many of you have not been in the military, but this matters. The kill chain is a 6-step process the military uses to take out high-value targets. It's called find, fix, track, target, engage, assess. They abbreviate that F2T2EA. Think of it like this. First, you find the general neighborhood. Then you fix, you confirm. Yeah, that's definitely the guy right there. Then you track him, you watch him in real time so he doesn't slip away. Then you target. You plan the hit down to the entry points and escape routes or where the bombs, which window it's going to go through. Then you engage. That's the raid or the strike, the part that makes the news. And finally, then you go back and assess. Did it work? Did we get him? What kind of intel can we grab? And what's next? So the U.S. handled most of the steps 1 through 4. Mexico handled step 5, and now everybody's working step 6 together. That's what a force multiplier looks like. And America didn't violate Mexican sovereignty, at least not officially. But without U.S. intelligence, Mencho would probably still be sipping coffee someplace up in the mountains. So the Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau, confirmed the kill and called it a great day for cooperation. So the Trump administration is doing a victory lap, and look, that's fair enough. They designated this cartel a foreign terrorist organization. They leaned on President Sheinbaum to act, and today they got results. But pump the brakes just a little bit. We've been here before. We got El Chapo twice.
Right.
And what happened? Well, his cartel splintered, lieutenants went to war with each other, and the violence got worse before it got better. So some would argue it never got better. Mencho's death creates a power vacuum, a big one, inside the Jalisco cartel. And in that world...
Because somebody got to take his place. Somebody got to take the band place.
And regional bosses and family members, all of whom think they should be the next jefe. And by the way, the way that they settle that argument isn't with a vote. It's with AK-47s and car bombs.
Right.
On top of that, the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo's old outfit, which has been in its own internal civil war, they might see this as an opportunity to grab territory. So now you've potentially got a 2-front war. Jalisco cartel fighting itself and Jalisco cartel fighting Sinaloa, all while the Mexican government tries to keep the lid on. So here's what matters to you and me. The demand doesn't disappear because one guy died in a helicopter. And if the cartel splinters into 5 smaller groups that are fighting for market share, you could actually see a short-term spike in trafficking as each faction tries to prove it can deliver the product. The real question is whether the Mexican authorities and the U.S. can sustain the kind of pressure that they've got right now on the cartels. One dead kingpin is a headline. But dismantling the network underneath him, that's the actual war. And that takes years, not press conferences. So look.
Facts. Facts.
He turned an entire generation of young Mexican men into cartel soldiers. He poisoned American cities with fentanyl. He murdered journalists, politicians, cops, and civilians who got in his way. The world is, without a doubt, a better place without him in it. But if you think this is the end of the story, you haven't been paying attention. This is the end of a chapter. The book is far from over. So if you're in Puerto Vallarta right now,
you better shelter in place.
Shelter in place. Maybe follow embassy guidance and stay off the roads for a while. And this is not the time.
This 3 minutes ago.
Thanks for joining us on the Fox 11 Weekend News. We're following breaking news out of Mexico, where violence has erupted in Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara after the Mexican army killed the leader of one of the country's most powerful cartels. U.S. citizens are now being ordered to shelter in place. Jalisco New Generation cartel leaders Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, was killed after an operation to capture him earlier today. Officials say he died while being flown to Mexico City. Since then, many cars and buildings have been set on fire, which is a tactic used by the cartel to block military operations. Violence also sending people running for safety in the Guadalajara airport. The U.S. State Department is warning U.S. citizens in Jalisco, which includes Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara, Tamaulipas, Michoacan, Guerrero, and Nuevo León to shelter in place. Here at home, there's growing concern flights to and from LAX will be impacted by the violence in Mexico. Fox 7's Laura Diaz just arrived at the airport. And Laura, what are you noticing there at LAX?
Well, Susan, as you just mentioned, we just arrived a short time ago. I did approach people to see if they even knew anything about the chaos happening in Mexico. Most people didn't have any knowledge of it. But as you just mentioned, we are hearing that, flights have been disrupted out of Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta. And of course, people who are there, they're concerned about it. Now, I spoke earlier today, I spoke to an Orange County woman who was on holiday in Guadalajara, and she said that she was staying in an American hotel, but then after everything erupted, they made the decision to leave that American hotel, and I talked to them from an undisclosed location.
I was way more on edge, way more scared. I would say on edge, right? Like hyper vigilant, I guess. I'm not scared anymore. I'm a little bit not looking forward to the next 24 hours because we don't have AC. We have we only have so much water. We only have a sandwich to get by. It's not the vacation I was hoping for, but I'm not scared today. Right now, if we were to fly out tomorrow, I'd be scared.
Well, the trio told me that, in fact, they'd been drinking a little to take an edge off. I think you can hear that a little bit. But they would not tell me specifically where they were, but they felt perhaps that they were in greater danger by staying in an American hotel. So getting back to what's happening there, they told me that it was a ghost town when they left that American hotel to go where they are now. Literally nobody on the streets. They did see smoke in the distance, but they did not witness these spot fires that are being reported in Puerto Vallarta. But they planned to stay where they were for the night. They had one sandwich to get through the night. Originally, they were supposed to fly out tomorrow. They don't know if they'll be able to do that. I think probably not, but they were grateful that they were not at the airport today. They said normally they would take a flight on a Sunday. That's their MO. That wasn't part of this trip. They were always slated to take off tomorrow, but they were super grateful that they weren't there when that violence broke out, because people described it as being terrifying and having to take cover behind a chair or some kind of a...
Right now at 5:30, chaos breaks out in central Mexico after a powerful cartel leader was killed in a military operation. Video from Puerto Vallarta shows several vehicles and buildings set on fire. Officials say cartel members are responsible, saying it's in retaliation to the military operation. Right now, the U.S. Embassy and consulates in Mexico are urging U.S. citizens in these parts of Mexico to shelter in place. Good evening, I'm Trace and Bragg. In just the last few hours, several planes landed in Houston from Mexico. It's as several flights to and from places like Puerto Vallarta have been canceled. Troy Kless joins us live from Bush Airport, where he spoke to some passengers who just returned to Houston and saw some of the chaos firsthand. Troy, those are obviously some tense and scary moments for those passengers.
Exactly right, Trayson. One woman tells me that she was waiting on an airplane for 2 hours before they were able to leave their flight out of Guadalajara, and that is what several people experienced in multiple parts of Mexico this afternoon. Now take a look. After a cartel leader was killed in Mexico, as you mentioned, several car fires were reported on streets, and many people that we spoke with saw images like these on the way to their airport. Many passengers returned to Bush Airport on Sunday feeling very distraught. At Houston airports, there were 4 flights to Puerto Vallarta that were canceled and 4 more flights that had to turn around and come back to Houston. We also spoke to a woman who just arrived this afternoon from Guadalajara, who says she saw several.
Oh, this is an hour ago.
We have helicopters flying the fires, and I saw on another Facebook site and on YouTube that somebody said some of the military was deployed in the Emilia Zapata zone. I don't have individual confirmation of that, but we definitely do have this military helicopter. It says Marina on the side, and they're flying around in the different valleys and different sections of the city, and wherever there's a fire, they seem to circle it multiple times to check it out, and they're going down all the different areas. So anyways, here's the video. It gives you a feel of what's going on now. It's still pretty calm out there. There's very few fires. Just things are smoldering.
Let me see if Oscar Ramirez is live. I got to hear him.
There's a fire up in the hills. Not sure what that is.
Cause he the truth.
Smoldering for the last couple of hours in Old Town and a few up north of us. I don't want to say near the marina, but just maybe in the Cinco area. And then it seems like a few or several are in the PTL area. Anyways, that's the current.
Appreciation to God and to our Lord Jesus in the most beautiful language of Arameo. La terhal, habibak, yutha.
Update as of 5:30 p.m. here. Hopefully everybody's safe. Stay well.
All right, well, I'm going to stay on this. This is breaking news.
Decided to go back on second time. And I will explain this second time.
What's up, folks? Wars down there in Mexico between the cartels, and it said it. And I got another friend on the East Coast. He got exposed to something, and it's particulates in the air. So the key,
like, share, subscribe, hit the like button.
It could be that, or it could just.
I'm gonna stay on this. So we gonna see U.S. intelligence gave the location of El Mancho, who was taken out. It's war going on in Mexico as we speak. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.